Hi guys! So today I'm going to be talking to you about some of the tips and tricks that I've learned through my experience for taking tests such as the ACT or SAT or any other standardized test that might be coming up in your life. So my first tip would probably be to get a study book, kind of like one of these, and I wouldn't recommend buying them full price because full price they are probably around $20, which is kind of expensive for a book that you may only use maybe once or twice in your life. So what I would recommend is to go to a used bookstore, maybe get a test booklet from a couple years back. Maybe not, from 1990 whatever, but probably from maybe 2007 or 2006. It'd probably still, be the same content, and you could probably get it for a much cheaper price at a used bookstore, such as McKay's or Tuesday Morning. Or you could go to your local library, which is what I did, and just check out a book for free. You can get one of the newer ones or an older one, whichever floats your boat. And usually, they're pretty good. The newer ones have a lot better language, I think, just more readable and more enjoyable to read and much more understandable. So if that is a concern for you, I would try to get one of the newer books. Yeah, and so I would recommend getting these usually 1 to 2 weeks before you take the test, just so that you can start, preparing a little bit every day. Maybe you just have problems with just one section, then you should probably, get the book and then just read, the math or reading or whatever section that you have trouble with. And also, a few days before, I would recommend doing a practice test. This book has 2, as you can see by the gray lines. So you could probably take one of those just to see how well you do and maybe what to expect on the actual test day. And if you are crunched for time, you didn't really have time to get it before and you're like 2 or 3 days the day before the test, I would still recommend maybe just checking the book out from the library. And then the books usually have a review chapter, so I recommend going find that chapter and read that one really well, or skim through the most troubling parts and then do a practice test. Definitely try to do a practice test, because that way you can learn kind of like what to expect from the question, the types of questions, and how long it's going to take you, and then you can score yourself afterwards. And a lot of books actually do have answers and explanations, so that'd be really good to see how you went wrong and maybe what to look out for on the actual test day. Yeah, so on the actual test day, you are obviously going to need pencils. Oh, I have another one, sorry. Pencils, sharpened if you can, and if they don't have good erasers, I would recommend getting a big one. And if they do have good erasers, I would still try to bring one if you can, because you never know if it's going to smudge on the special Scantron paper or whatever. So I still would recommend bringing one of these. And then also I would recommend bringing your own personal small pencil sharpener, because in the middle of the test, if both of yours break for some reason and you need to get up and sharpen them, it's really loud and distracting and you lose time and all that. So if you have a quick, small one, you can quickly, give it a couple turns, get enough to bubble in the last few that you have or whatever, and it's quiet, you don't bother anyone, and it's just really convenient. You don't have to get up or raise your hand or I don't know, whatever. Also, make sure that your calculator is approved. The TI-89 is approved for the SAT, but it's not for the ACT. So if you have a TI-89, be sure that you either find a TI-84, like this one, or just another normal scientific calculator. You actually don't really need a graphing calculator. And also be sure to check the batteries and make sure you do have batteries, because when I took the ACT a couple weeks ago, I just turned it on, I was like, okay, that's fine. But then during the test, it started giving me messages that I was running low on battery, and so I got kind of scared. So I would definitely check, or just replace it no matter what. Just replace new batteries and, reuse them, whatever. I would definitely recommend that. Yeah. And also don't forget photo ID. Obviously, you're going to need that, and especially nowadays, they do require that you print out a photo on your admission ticket so that you can't pretend you're somebody else or whatever. Yeah. And also, they do have a strict phone policy. They usually don't allow phones into the room, although if you do, they have to be turned off. And so my recommendation would be either, if you drive yourself, to leave it in your car, maybe in your glove compartment, or to shut it off, put it in your, bag or something and then just leave it under your desk. Because I wouldn't recommend not bringing it at all, because if you need a ride, you need to call, you know, whoever and be like, hey, the SAT or oh, the ACT is over. Or, you know, if something happens, you can be like, oh, hey, Mom, you know, this and this happened, and I need to go do this before I come home. Or, you know, you just need to have a phone for just security reasons, most likely, not just necessarily chatting up your friends. Also, the testing rooms can sometimes be really cold, especially if they're in schools and they don't turn the heating or air conditioning on. So I would just recommend layers. So for instance, if you're going to be wearing a short sleeve shirt, I would also bring a jacket such as this, and that way you bring it with you, and if it's really hot in there, if you're taking it in the summertime, then you know you can take it off, have your t-shirt on, you'll be fine. And if it's really cold, you know, you have your jacket ready and you can just slip it on and you won't have to worry about freezing, and then you'll be in your best condition to take your test. Yeah, and also they do allow you to have food and drinks, so obviously bring a water bottle filled with water, or you can fill it up at a nearby water fountain. And also you're allowed to bring a snack, so I recommend bringing a granola bar or something that isn't too messy, or maybe something like trail mix, because if you bring crackers or anything really crunchy, it's really crumbly, it gets everywhere, you know, it's really a bother to mess with, it's really loud too, so if you're in awkward silence and you crunch into something, it might be potentially an awkward situation for you. So I would recommend getting like a chewy granola bar, or, you know, trail mix or something like that. So yeah, those are my tips and tricks for doing your best on the ACT and SAT. I wish all of you good luck, and I'll be talking to you guys soon. Bye!